Hello everyone, this is Miss Byrd. So welcome. Today's lesson is called dividing polynomials. So there are different times when we are going to divide polynomials. You can divide with a monomial and you can divide with a binomial. And we're going to see those two examples. So first, the monomial. We're going to go ahead and start with problem number 1. Number 1 says 4x squared minus 18x divided by 2x. Okay, so we could actually set this up as a fraction. So I have 4x squared minus 18x over 2x. So what we want to do here is we are going to divide each term with 2x. So this first part here, we're going to go ahead and do 4x squared divided by 2x. So when I divide these two, well, you could do the coefficients. 4 divided by 2 equals 2. And then you have x squared divided by x. So that's the same thing as saying x times x over x. And as you can see, these two x's cancel each other out because they equal 1. And what's left over is one of the x's. And then we're going to move on to divide this term. So it's negative 18x divided by 2x. Well, negative 18 divided by 2 is negative 9. And then x over x, they cancel out, and it's just 9. So this is our answer from dividing. Okay, any questions here? Let me know. Number 2. Okay, so number 2 says 9x squared plus 12x over 3x. Okay, so we're going to do the same steps. And since it's set up for us already, we're going to divide the first term with 3x. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. And x squared divided by x is x. Now we're going to do 12x divided by 3x. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. So it's positive 4. And of course, x over x is 1. So our quotient is 3x plus 4. Okay, let's move on to the next part. So the next step is we're going to learn how to do division, but long division with no remainder. Okay, so this is pretty much how the steps are going to look. And what I would like to do is talk about when we can actually apply. So let's write this down. We can apply the steps of long division to divide polynomials. Okay, so let's review important terms and the steps of long division before applying this to polynomials. So let's say, for instance, we have 1,984 divided by 16. Okay, so of course, up here, this is our numerator. And when we divide, it's also called the dividend. And down here, this is the denominator. But it is also called the divisor. Okay, so the long division would look like this. If you remember, we're going to divide 1,984 by 16. So how many times does 16 fit into 19? Once, and we put the 1 above the 9, right? So 1 times 16 is 16. And then when you subtract, you get 3. Bring down the 8. And then 16 into 38, it goes in twice. So we put the 2 above the 8, right? 2 times 16 is 32. The difference is 6. Bring down the 4. How many times does 16 fit into 64? 4 times. It goes above the 4. And we subtract the 64, and we have remainder 0. There's no remainder. Okay. So the steps that we did here, we're going to use those same steps to divide polynomials. So let's take a look at the next example, number 2. I'm going to go to the next page for that. Number 2, the given says 5x to the third power plus 25x squared minus 10x divided by 5x. Okay. So we're going to set this up as long division. So inside we're going to put the numerator, 5x to the third power plus 25x squared minus 10x, and then divided by 5x. Okay. So the same steps apply here. How many times does 5x fit into 5x to the third power? So what's really happening is we're dividing 5x to the third power over 5x. Well, 5 divided by 5 is 1. They cancel out. And then here, x to the third divided by x, well, we're going to have x squared left over. So that's what you would write here above the 5x to the third power. So x to the second power. Because when you multiply this times 5x, you get 5x to the third power. Now, because of the rules, when you're doing long division, you have to subtract. And when you do, you get 0. Then you can bring down 25x squared. So we're going to bring it straight down. So how many times does 5x fit into 25x squared? Well, I know 5 times 5 is 25. And x times x is x squared. So we're going to put here plus 5x. And notice how it goes above the 25x squared. So when I multiply 5x times 5x, I get 25x squared. And we're going to subtract, which gives us 0, bring down negative 10x. Okay, how many times does 5x fit into negative 10x? Well, there's a negative, so we know for sure we have to put a negative. And I know 2 times 5 is 10. And I'm not going to multiply by x because if I do x times x, I get x squared, and we only need 1x. So we're going to leave it as just 2. 2 times 5x is 10x. And don't forget it's negative. Negative times positive is negative. And then we have to subtract, right? The rule was to subtract like we did over here. So we're going to subtract this part. And when we do, this becomes a big plus, right? So this ends up being 0. So our quotient is x squared plus 5x minus 2. Okay, number 3. Please ask if you have questions. Stop me and let me know if you have questions. Number 3 says negative 4x to the third power plus 5x squared over negative 2x squared. Okay. So let's go ahead and set this up. Negative 4x to the third power plus 5x squared goes inside. And negative x squared goes on the outside. Okay. So in case you get stuck, just write the first term over the denominator. So negative 4x to the third power over negative x to the second power. Here, a negative divided by negative is positive, so this number up here is going to be a positive. 4 divided by 1 is 4. And then x to the third power divided by x squared. Well, when you do the rules here, you get x left over. And so our quotient starts with 4x. So when you multiply here, you end up with negative 4x to the third power. And the rule is you have to subtract going down. So you have 0. Bring down 5x to the second power. Okay, we're going to find out what times negative x squared fits into 5x squared, right? So if I need this to be a positive. So a negative times a negative gives you a positive. And I'm going to multiply by 5 to get 5, right? 5 times 1 is 5. So 5 times negative x squared gives us positive 5x squared. And then you're going to subtract, and we end up with 0, okay? So if you get stuck, just get the term and divide it by the denominator and do it on the side. That way you can see what the quotient is supposed to be, right? So here you can see 5 divided by negative 1 is negative 5. And then the x squares cancel each other out, and that's why it's just negative 5. So our quotient is 4x minus 5. Okay, let's see the next part. The next part is long division with a remainder, So here's how the steps are going to look when we solve it. But again, you want to do the same rules when we do long division. So, So here, let's do an example of a problem with long division. Let's say we had 624 divided by 5. Okay, so the rules of long division. How many times can 5 fit into 6? 1 time. 1 times 5 is 5, and we're going to subtract. 6 minus 5 is 1. Bring down the 2. How many times can 5 fit into 12? 2 times. 2 times 5 is 10. We're going to subtract. Bring down. The difference is 2. Bring down the 4. How many times does 5 fit into 24? 4 times. 4 times 5 is 20. The difference is 4. Now, there's nothing else to bring down, so 4 is your remainder. Remember, in elementary, we used to write 124 remainder 4. And then when you get to middle school, you bring the 4 to the top, and it's 124 and 4/5, right? Your denominator is the 5 right here. These are the same steps we're going to use to solve dividing polynomials. These same steps. So let's go ahead and try that. Let's go to the next page. Okay, here is number 4. The given says 10x plus 3 over 5x. Okay, so let's go ahead and set this up. We have here, we're going to divide 10x plus 3 goes inside, and 5x goes on the outside. So what times 5x gives us 10x? 2. 2 times 5 is 10. There we go. And then we're going to subtract going down. So we get 0, bring down the 3. How many times does 5x fit into 3? Well, it doesn't. This is the remainder. So we're going to bring it to the top. When we do, we're going to make the fraction. So 3 goes in the numerator, 5x goes in the denominator. But in between these two, you have to put a plus sign. So that's the new step from the long division. We have to put a plus sign in between the polynomial and the remainder. Okay, so this is our quotient, all of this right here. Okay, number 5. The given says x squared plus 6x plus 5 divided by x plus 2. Okay, so let's set it up so we can divide. So inside is x squared plus 6x plus 5. And out here we're going to have x plus 2. So whenever you are dividing polynomials, you always want to look at the first term, okay? So we're going to ask ourselves, what times x gives us x to the second power? Well, we know it's x. But instead of putting it directly above the x squared, since there's 2 terms, we're going to have to actually move it above the second term here. So we're going to put it above the 6. So let's do that. So x goes above the 6x. And now we're going to multiply. So we're going to start with x times 2. And we're going to put it underneath the 6x. And it's positive, so we're going to put the plus. And then x times x is x to the second power. So we actually have to subtract. But when we subtract, we're going to subtract everything. So I'm going to put parentheses so I can understand that that subtraction is for each term. So x squared minus x squared gives us 0. They cancel out. And then 6x minus 2x gives us 4x. And now we're going to bring down the positive 5 here. Okay, we're looking at the first terms only. So what times x gives us 4x? Positive 4. So here we're going to put plus 4, and it goes above the 5. 4 times 2 is 8, and it's positive. And then 4 times x is 4x. So we have to subtract the whole thing. 4x minus 4x is 0. And then we have 5 minus 8, which gives us negative 3. There's nothing else to bring down. This is our remainder. So we're going to bring this to the top. So our quotient is x plus 4 plus, in the numerator, we have negative 3 over x plus 2, which is the denominator from right here. So here's the quotient. Okay, any questions? Let me know, please. Let's try another one, number 6. Okay, the given says 6x to the second power plus 17x plus 20. And all of that is going to be divided by 3x plus 4. Okay. Okay, so 6x squared, this goes inside, right? Plus 17x plus 20. And all of that divided by 3x plus 4. Okay, so we're going to look at the first terms. So what times 3x gives us 6x squared? Well, I know 2 times 3 is 6, and x times x is x squared. So it's going to be 2x. But we can't put it above the 6x because there's 2 terms here. So it has to be above the 17x. So we're going to move it down to here, 2x. Okay, 2x times 4 is 8x. And then 2x times 3x is 6x squared. Okay, so we have to subtract, and it's going to be the whole thing is subtracted. So 6x minus 6x is 0. 17x minus 8x gives us 9x. Bring down the plus 20. Okay, so we're looking at the first terms. 3x times what gives us 9x? Positive 3. So 3 times 4 is 12. It's positive 12. And then 3 times 3x is 9x. Okay, we have to subtract the whole thing. So we get 0, and then 20 minus 12. The difference is 8. There's nothing else to bring down, so this is our remainder. So we're going to say plus 8 over 3x plus 4. Okay, here's our quotient. So that was number 6. Okay, number 7. Okay, so here we have on the outside x minus 2. Inside we have x to the third power minus 2x squared plus 6x minus 8. Okay. All right, so we're going to look at the first terms. So what times x gives us x to the third? Well, we know it's going to be x to the second power. But because there's 2 terms here, we have to move this down. So it's going to go above here. You can also tell because it kind of matches. So x squared times negative 2 is negative 2x squared. And then x squared times x is x to the third power. Okay, we have to subtract the whole thing. So x to the third minus x to the third is 0. And then you have negative 2x squared minus negative 2x squared. So this is actually plus. And when you subtract, you get 0. So this is also canceled out. So all you have to do is bring down the 6x. Okay, so what times x minus 2 gives us 6x? Well, we can't do that yet. We have to bring this down first. So right here is actually plus 0. And then I'm going to bring down the negative 8. Okay, so now I'm going to look at the first terms. X times what gives you 6x? Well, positive 6. So 6 times negative 2 is negative 12. 6 times x is 6x. And then you're going to subtract the whole thing. So this ends up being 0. Negative 8 minus negative 12 is actually negative 8 plus 12, which gives us positive 4. This is our remainder. So we're going to bring it up here. And we have 4 over x minus 2. So there's a chance you're not going to see the 0 in the quotient. So it could be written as x squared plus 6 plus 4 over x minus 2. Okay? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop here. Please let me know if you have any questions, and have a good one. Thank you.